see sometimes in movies, you see sometimes you see that the character is writing something, and all of a sudden he's deleting it. That whole process of trying to translate what you are feeling, what you are thinking in your mind to paper, but you can't do it, right? Or let's say, for example, you are a writer, and then all of a sudden you realize that it's been like a day, or like 2 days, it's been a week or months, and you haven't written anything. Or all of a sudden you realize that, hey, I'm a writer, but it's been like a year and I haven't written anything, right? So all of this is writer's block, the experience or whatever it is that is stopping you from actually continuing your career as a writer. And usually writer's block, people say that it is only in the writing field that we get writer's block, or in any of the fields that you have to create something, that is where you get writer's block. And I think it's very important, and it's very true, because you wouldn't hear somebody say, oh, I have a nurse's block today, or I have a teacher's block today, or I have a plumber's block today. No, a nurse, a teacher, a plumber, they will wake up in the morning, no matter how they feel, and make sure that they go and do their jobs. So why is it that writers or people in the creative fields, we have these kinds of blocks in our career? And that's why conversations like this are important.
All right. Thank you very much for enlightening us about what writer's block is.
Right.
And that brings us to our next question. You say that it happens to people. You wake up with an idea, you go to your desk to write, and you find that you are not able to pen your ideas down. So I want to ask, does it happen to every writer, or it happens to just some specific caliber of writers?
Well, the view is that it happens to writer, except you are AI, the new AI that has come to write stories in place of writers and other jobs, right? Except you are that. And it doesn't really think. Once in a while it comes, you have to deal with it, you have to make sure that you face it. And like I made the point of, you don't have plumber's block, right? So once you begin treating your career or the writing career as if it's something that, what this is who I am, this is what I do. When you go anywhere and they ask you, you say, oh, I'm a writer, right? And so you need to make sure that you wake up every day and make that conscious effort to tackle this issue and prevent yourself from getting blocks that will actually sabotage your career or your passion as a writer in general.
Right. Thank you very much. So, what ways can writers follow to manage writer's block? Now that we have identified what writer's block is, and the people who get caught up with the writer's block, or those who suffer from writer's block, what are the ways the writers can follow to manage writer's block?
So I'll make sure, there are many ways. I'll try and make sure that I cover, quite a number of them before the session ends. So the first point that I've put down is to develop a productive daily routine, right? You see, there are a lot of writers who say, or it's proving that the best time to be a writer is in the morning, right? When you wake up, at that time, the ideas are strong, no distractions are on your way, and then you're able to put things together. That's for some writers, but then there are some writers who tell you, what, I write best at night, So you need generally to develop like a schedule for yourself. And if the thing is that if you limit it to, I'm developing a schedule for writing, it's just like when you are in JSS and then you write a timetable or SSE, you write a timetable to be studying every night. You realize that sometimes if you're not a serious student, you won't take it very seriously. But if you put it as if it is a general life schedule that you are creating for yourself, you realize that, oh, I need a life, I need to put my life together. I wake up very in the morning, I do A, B, and C. By 8 to 9, I am, I'm writing. Even if it's 30 minutes of writing or 1 hour of writing, at least make sure that you fix writing in there. And then, oh, I make sure that I go to work this time to this time, make sure that I go to the gym, or I make sure that I do this. Just make sure that you are able to have a very productive, daily schedule for yourself. And I think that is it would really help you to keep the discipline in your writing process. And the second point is to write about things that are of your interest, right? If you are a creative of any kind, doesn't matter whether you're a writer, a visual artist, filmmaker, whatever creative that you are, you realize that the points that, or the times that you are writing or you are working on a project that is very, that you are very passionate about, or where your interests are, you realize that you have so much discipline. I just want to get this done. I just want to write this because it's something that is dear to me. Let's say, for example, about maybe you have, for example, Kayaye, right? You have been to Kayaye before, and then you have like a fair idea of how it is, and then all of a sudden you are writing a project about Kayaye. You will make sure that you are able to, you make sure that you wake up in the morning and that is what you are going to write. So it's very important, especially if it's not like a commissioned writing where somebody has commissioned you to write something for them and it is something of your personal interest. You have to make sure that you select topics that, even if you wake up one day and realize that there's no energy, or you realize that, hey, I don't feel you would actually, it's like waking up for something. It's like, this is my dream and this is what I'm doing, right? So make sure that whatever topic that you are writing on, or whatever the topic that you are writing on, should be something of your interest, something that speaks to you, something that would, drive you, even if there's no money, even if there's no encouragement, even if the whole world turns against you and say, no, don't write about this. So far as you are interested in it, you are going to write about it. It doesn't matter what kind of writing you are doing. If you are writing a flash fiction, a short, creative nonfiction, a novel, any kind of writing that you are doing, you should make sure that you have it at your best, at your interest. And another point is, don't get too comfortable with I usually call it masturbating with the idea, right? Yeah, very strong word. But the thing is that a lot of us, you wake up with a story idea, and then instead of you to just put it down on paper, because the mind is created in such a way that it's easily forget. You easily forget, right? So instead of you to write it down, all you do is to sit down and daydream and make yourself feel better about the fact that you are able to come up with that $1 million idea, right? But it's just, you are just chilling with it in your mind, and just, like I said, masturbating with it. It's just making you feel good in the mind, but you are not actually producing anything out of it, right? So that is something that we should avoid. And also, I feel that one very important thing that we should do is to have a plan for your writing project, right? If you have a plan for your writing project, it will be very important, because imagine that you begin writing. Let's say, for example, I'm going to write about what topic am I using? Let's say, what are the ideas? Climate change. Okay, let's say climate change, and let's say maybe World Climate Change Day is on 20 something, like some months to come, right? You know that, oh, I have to write about this, because by next month, if I don't write it, my write-up will not be relevant any longer, right? Or let's say there's a call for entries, right? You realize that, oh, there's a call for entry, and then you are saying, okay, there's a deadline attached to a call for entry, every call for entry, right? So what even if you wake up and then you feel like, oh, today I don't feel like writing, I don't feel like doing anything, that deadline, okay, would actually push you to write because you want to make the deadline. And also in cases where it's not like a call for entry, and it's just like maybe a personal project, either you are writing, it could be writing for screen, that is screenwriting, or writing for stage, that is writing for drama, right? Some things like this, in certain places you realize that if somebody asks you to write something for them, or if it is a production that you are doing, you, the writer, the production already have, when they've already planned out everything, when they want to start filming, when they are going to start editing, when they are going to premiere the whatever the end product of what they are going to do. So you don't have the luxury to wake up and say, oh, today I'm not writing. No, because everything, the whole production will depend on your work, right? And for example, like a very up close example that I'm going to give is with the High Court of Poetry, right? This platform we have the with the actual activity of the High Court of Poetry, where there's a court session and poetry carries the storyline. You get to realize that probably you have a plan. It's happening in September, December, whatever date it is. So you are in charge of writing, doing the writer for it. You don't have the luxury to sit around and say, today I don't feel like writing, or maybe I could do it anytime. No, there is a plan for it. And I think that is one thing that can help, or help you manage your writer's block. That is having a plan for your project. And it's very important for you to treat every writing as a project and not just as a fleeting thing like passing, I'm just going to write and put it in my shelf. No, you should have a plan either to make entertainment out of it or money out of it, right? And especially if you are treating writing as a career, you can just sit in the idea of, for the passion of it, and then it is your money making it's your money making career, and so you have to treat it as such. You don't have the luxury to sit and say, oh, it's my passion, is for fun, and then exactly. So, and if it's something that it's not, if you are writing something that is not in a very organized situation where it's like a production that is coming to be, one way you can make it work for you is to get a partner, a very dedicated partner who is as interested as you are in whatever project that you are dealing with. So one very example that comes to me is, like I mentioned earlier, I'm a filmmaker, and so most of the example I'm going to give is going to be based on that. And, I'm a screenwriter, let me put it like that. So one of my friends and I were working on a certain project, right? And we're in the writing stage. And then you realize that it's just like something chill. It's not in like a very big production house where you have to, there are dates and everything. But you realize that once you have somebody with the same kind of enthusiasm as you, if you are falling back, there's somebody to always check on you, right? So let's say I haven't written the whole of this week, and then he's waiting for me to write something and send. He's going to call me and give me pressure and tell me, guess what? You are not going to have yourself sleeping, resting around and not doing anything. Okay. And if it's his turn to write something, I'm also going to be on his neck. How far, what is going on, and it actually keeps you on your feet to actually have to write something, even if your lust, let me put that word, or like your chills are just, taking the better of you. So that is one thing. And another example that I think we need to, another method that we need to keep in mind is to know the kind of writing that you are doing. Learn the craft. There are different kinds of writing. I mentioned earlier, we have short fiction. When you are writing short fiction, what is demanded of you is very different from when you are writing a novel, even though they are both fiction, right? So you need to know, what does it require of me if I'm writing a short fiction? What does it require of me if I'm writing a novel? If you are writing a creative nonfiction, you need to know what does it require of me? What does it require of me in creative nonfiction? If you are writing for the screen, that is screenwriting, you need to, it's a whole different, if you are a novelist, somebody who writes novels, you might be excellent at writing novels and very bad. I mean, very, I don't want to use the word bad. We don't use bad with writing and creativity. And very, mediocre with screenwriting or writing for the stage, right? So all these different kinds of writing demands different kinds of approaches, and that is something you should learn. I remember when I first started off as a screenwriter, that was, I hadn't even gone to study screenwriting. I just, completed high school and you want to try your hands on something. I realized that the idea is in my head, right? I know I'm even seeing the final picture of what I want to see on screen. But once I come and sit down and take my pen to write, I realize I can't write anything. I don't even know where to start, right? I don't even know where to start. I don't know how to put it. I don't know how to turn things around. And that is a block. Do you see? But once you make the conscious of it, what is screenwriting? What is the, what is the prototype? What is the blueprint? What should I know before I start my screenwriting career? Then it becomes, a bit easy for you. And trust me, writing is hard. Writing is hard. Don't let anybody, like, people say, oh, it's just the passion. Once you have the passion, blah, 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 blah. No. People have had just passion for screenwriting and they've died with just the passion and haven't even written one thing. It is hard. You have to treat it as something that this is my career. This is something I want to do. And then it becomes, it gets easier as you go, or it gets better, not easier, get better as you go, right? And so this point that we are talking about is you need to know what you are writing, okay? And that reminds me of, one has our moderator for tonight. He mentioned that we have like monthly book reading sessions. Just the recent one we had, there was we were honored to have Mumsi in our presence. And Mumsi is a very good poet, very renowned poet, and she shared her experience with us. Very beautiful experience. She says that the first time she tried writing prose is any writing but poetry, right? And she has always been writing poems. And then the first time she tried writing prose, she realized that it's so different. And then she wrote Ashawo Diaries, right? And then she told us the journey of Ashawo Diaries, how the editors she had to do rewrites plenty times. And then you go to somebody. She'll go to somebody and this is what I've written. The editor will tell you, like, guy, this is trash. Because in your mind, you are a writer for poetry, and then you probably think it's the same when you translate it to prose. But then you get to prose and realize that prose is a totally different thing, right? So you need to know what kind of writing you are doing and what is required of you. And I think the best way that you can do that is to, if you can't learn technically, is to read points, or is to read other writings of the same caliber. So, like I said, I'm a screenwriter, so I'm going to use screenwriting in most of my examples. I remember one of these times, one thing that one method that I use to help me in my screenwriting process is that when I have a film to watch, maybe like this is next on my list, I will try and make sure that I get the screenplay of that film. I won't watch the film first. I'll have to read the screenplay of that film before I watch the film, right? And if I do that, it is going to, what it does is that it keeps you in it makes you feel like you worked in the process of screenwriting, writing to screen, right? It keeps you in the process. So you just have to read other writings of the same, caliber, and then it becomes easy for you to do your writing. So another very important point, and this is very, if not the most important, this is, very important, is to be at a good place mentally, right? People say that writing is hard if your mind is not in a very good place. And I think it's very true, because writing is a transfer of emotions, right? It's a transfer of emotions. You, the writer, writing is whatever you write is only going to be successful if the person reading it is able to connect with every emotion therein, right? And that is why it's hard. So if you, the writer, is not in a very good place mentally or emotionally, you don't know, you don't understand, like they say, emotional intelligence, right? You don't understand your emotions, you don't know how to put things together within yourself. How can you transfer it, into paper for a reader to read and have the same experience, right? So I think that we have, as writers, one thing that we have to do is to learn emotional intelligence. I often hear people say that, oh, I write best when I'm angry, or I write best when I feel pained. I write best when, and somebody else will tell you, when I feel pained, I can't write, or when I feel betrayed, I can't write. When I feel some very intense emotions, I can't write. And the difference lies in how best you are able to understand that emotion you are feeling. So if I come to sit to write, and then I realize that it is I come to sit and write, and then I realize, my emotions are welling up. I can't put my emotions together and understand what I'm feeling. How can I express that on the paper? Right? But if you're able to understand it yourself, it gets easier for you to put it on paper for the next person to read. And you can't even argue that, because in certain writings, people will say, there are people who tell you that, oh, certain writings are not emotion based. Like if you are writing an action film, or an action whatever, an action novel, an action whatever, an action, or a horror, or whodunit, that is the detective whatsoever. It might not be very emotionally driven as compared to romance or love, right? If it happens like that with you, you get to realize that if it happens like that with you, you realize that it's not true, okay? Because, like I said, I'm always using film for example. Let's use a film like an action film like John Wick. Aside all the let's hit each other, let's shoot guns, let's throw arms and all that, you get to realize that what is the base of the film. I haven't watched John Wick myself, but I know the storyline is about, somebody killed his dog or somebody killed his wife and he's out for revenge. Somebody else, they can kill somebody else's dog or wife and the person will not go out and start shooting people. But what makes this character go out to start shooting people? It is from a place of emotions. The person just can't take it. The person wants revenge. The person is revengeful. The person is angry. The person is, enraged. And that is, you write with that emotion. You don't write with the action. The action is just supplementing the emotion, but the emotion comes first. You understand the emotion, and the emotion will determine what actions is coming from that, right? So it's very important to understand emotions of yourself and emotion of other people and how people react in certain kinds of emotion. So we have a few points left. It's yes, this is also a very important point, to kill the need for perfectionism. This is very important for this touch home. I think this, like I said, it's not only limited to writers. Okay, this is like a whole creative person problem. The need for perfectionism, right? We tend to, for some reason, or ego, or wanting external validation from people, you want that once I write this thing or once I create this thing, it should be perfect. Gang. No, you are killing your career from that. I mean, you are killing your writing growth with that kind of energy, with a perfectionist energy, right? And you can't, with writing, you can't come and sit and open the book the first time you are putting idea to paper and expect it to be perfect. Once you write what you are doing, you just go and they'll print it out for you, or you just submit it and it wins the best write-up. No, it doesn't work like that. But if you have the attitude of, you sit down and you are writing, I want it to be perfect. It's almost like judging something that doesn't even exist yet, because the writing doesn't even exist yet, and you already want to judge it into perfectionism. No, it just won't work, right? So with the few write up, you just have to kill the the idea of wanting it to be perfect, and actually embrace writing garbage. They always say this, whatever writing class you go, they tell you that embrace the art of writing garbage. You write garbage the first time, the first draft, second draft, third draft, and then the fourth draft is where you put in your perfectionist energy, right? Because you can't give the garbage to the judges, or you can't give the garbage to the publishing house, or you can't give the garbage to whoever is buying your script, or whoever is buying your manuscript, or whoever is buying your write-up, right? So but the first time you put your pen to paper or open that Word document, make sure that you kill every perfection. Write garbage and put it down. Tomorrow, when you come and pick it, you actually know that, oh, this is what is wrong with it. Then you correct it, and it gets better. There are some productions or there are some, publishing houses or writing for screen or writing for stage production, where you realize that writers have to write like 40 something times. People, and I'm talking about the best films. I'm talking about the best novels you have read. I'm talking about the best short fictions that are out there. And these writers have to write like 40 something times. Who has that patience? I mean, and the thing is, you need to have that patience. You need to have that ego to get it right the first time. Right. And I think a lot of us have it, so that, you just want to write it. And then when somebody picks it and read it, be like, hey, this person, Papa. Hey, this person, he is talented. But this person, she's talented. No, kill that. Okay, kill that. And then the last point that I'm going to get, I think we're almost running out of time. The last point is to have a good writing space, or a well organized writing space. I'm talking about, like I'm saying, that you treat it like a career. You have a nice table where you can come and sit upright and write something. You're not lying around writing it, and that is where the energy to manage writer's block comes from. Whew. Yeah, I think I'm done with my points here. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Najaat. And I think I speak for everybody when I say that we are so much enlightened from your
Mm,
presentations. So
all
I think we are running out of time, and in order not to
yes.
waste much time again, we'll allow for let's 2 minutes for questions. If someone has a question or something that is not clear to the person in the course of the presentation, the person can raise up your hand. We give you the floor to ask your question. All right. Okay, Abdul Hakim, your hand is up. Let's hear your question.
Yes, thank you so much for the presentation, Najat. I think comment here for, I mean, very few minutes to give us these points. And I just want to share personally that music, and soft soundtracks have personally helped me to escape the block. Sometimes when I'm incapable of putting just close myself in a serene and quiet environment, on um, maybe an acoustic instrumental, and then I just play it and hear it all by myself. Then I just get some sudden muse even out of it. I think that's basically something that has helped me. Yes,
Okay.
thank you. Just sharing. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you for that. Yes, very, very important. He uses like self stakes to help him in his writing, right? If and I think that as a writer you should do is to know what works for you. There are people who use like very, these kind of metaphors. Like I think that like you mentioned that like in the environment, the creative environment, there is a saying that the loneliest job, creating is the loneliest job in the world. You don't have like distraction that you don't need, right? Except is to just keep you away from reality and into a new space. Thank you very much, Hakim.
All right. Um, our time is almost up, and without much ado, I would use this opportunity to thank all and sundry for sparing time to partake in our literary conversation. Before we go, I'll just have to reiterate some of the programs we run at the High Court of Poetry. We organize monthly book readings, and just this one by monthly um, literary conversation. And the book readings comes once every month, and there's an edition that's coming ending of this month, May. The venue would be communicated later. So I will encourage everyone to join our social media platforms at the High Court of Poetry, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and we are yet to have an Instagram account. And once that